Hello, everybody. Today we are having this event on guide to choosing the right EB1A coach, consultant, and attorneys. For the green card, many a time are on an EB1A journey. A lot of people get confused. Everybody is giving gyan on EB1A, what is the right way to do, and what role does each one of us play. Today we have three EB1A achievers. One of them happens to be a consultant also, one coach also, and one prestigious EB1A achiever. And we are privileged to have two leading attorneys. One is immigration lawyer, Mr. Mohammed Shah, and Mr. Avatar, who is a business lawyer and also expert in immigration law. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. For the benefit of all, let's start introduction. Rachna, let's start with you.
Hi, thank you, Ranjeet. I am an EB1A Achiever, also a student of Next League. My name is Rachna Chaudhary. I professionally specialize as a global PR and communications consultant for the small and medium businesses, enterprises, entrepreneurs around the world. At Next League, I'm also enabling students with a media training as a true media understanding can help an EB1A achiever achieve the goals that we are here for. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachna. Ankit.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ankit. I'm an expert in ethical AI driven by data engineering with over a decade of work experience in the domain. And I have been a beneficiary of Next League program for my EB1A petition. Thank you.
Wonderful. Shreya.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shreya Das. I also am an EB1A achiever through Next League program. My expertise is clinical trial optimization. I manage clinical trials, and I also share my experience and help students with Next League when they have any questions around how to build their profile through my experience.
Wonderful. Mr. Shah.
Good evening. I'm an immigration attorney that primarily specializes in EB1As and national interest waivers and O1As. I try to work with the top professionals and get them their immigration dreams.
And yes, of course, we have the best save for the last, Mr. Avatar.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to join with you all. My name is Attorney Avatar Tajuddin. I've been practicing law for over 9 years, and I have focused my practice primarily in corporate law and also immigration law.
Wonderful. Let's start, Mr. Shah. Let's give a brief overview of what is an EB1A green card and what's extraordinary about it. Let's start from there.
Oh, thank you. So EB1A is the extraordinary ability petition. This is an immigrant petition for individuals that have extraordinary ability. And the adjudication process that has been described to us by USCIS, it's a two-step analysis. One goes through 10 eligibility criteria, and then there's the second step that does this totality final merits review to ensure that you have sustained national claim and you will substantially benefit the United States. In general, that's the EB1A.
Wonderful. Now, Mr. Avatar, just to give an overall perspective, there are different terminologies being used in the whole ecosystem of EB1A. There's somebody called as EB1A Coach, which we at the Next League program try to do. We're offering integrated services for everything put together. Second is somebody who is a consultant. And then, of course, EB1A attorney. How would you clarify it so that we set a stage for our discussions as we begin in the roles and clarifications for everybody? Who is what?
Absolutely. Within the EB1A ecosystem, there are various stakeholders. And understanding who's who and who does what, if you understand that properly and seek each person in their proper lane and you assemble the right team, then definitely you will be positioning yourself to be able to file a very successful EB1A petition. On the other hand, if you misapply the roles, then you can get yourself in trouble and also jeopardize what you're trying to build and present with the EB1A. Ranjeet, even though people confuse it, it's very simple. There is the lawyer, there is the coach, and there is the consultant. The lawyer, the immigration lawyer, is responsible to provide legal advice, to prepare the EB1A petition, to present it to USCIS, and to guide the entire legal process and to advise the client on the legal risks and legal ramifications that pertain to the EB1A petition. That's the lawyer, legal per se. The coach is supposed to be someone that is aiding, helping, and supporting the EB1A applicant with building their profile organically, with bolstering and highlighting their credentials and positioning themselves so that they can highlight the criteria that they meet so that they would be eligible for the EB1A. And then finally, the consultant is someone who is an expert, whether it is someone that's an expert in media or someone that is an expert in athletics or someone that is expert in the arts, that is presenting an expert opinion, highlighting that a particular individual meets the criteria. Each person plays a different role. When they stay in their lane and they come together as one team, then definitely they would be able to help position the EB1A applicant in a way that allows them to present a successful petition.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, Ankit, as a candidate who aspired to become EB1A, how did you navigate through the role? And thank you very much for also sending us a beautiful matrix you prepared, RACI matrix. It should be called as now, henceforth, as Ankit matrix for EB1A, for everybody to appreciate it. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, thank you. Building on what Mr. Abathar just mentioned, there are different roles that different people play, be it the consultant, be it the coach, be it the lawyer. And what role they play can be elucidated with this RACI matrix. And the full form of RACI is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed, where we have clear delineation among who's responsible for what and who's accountable for what, who's consulted and who's informed. This matrix can be very useful as a guide for me as an EB1A aspirant. When I was doing my journey, I had drawn a mental RACI that, okay, if it's building my profile, I am primarily responsible for building my profile and I am accountable for whatever I do. But I can still consult my coach on what could be the ways to make it stronger, and I would keep my attorney informed that this is what I'm doing. For every activity here, we have who's responsible, who's accountable, who's consulted, and who's informed. And that gave me a sense of comfort, as well as I knew what I need to do and I knew what other parties involved in this journey very strongly, which was my coach, my attorney, and consultants need to do. This matrix gives that kind of an idea about the roles and responsibilities based on the tasks and activities.
Wonderful. Mr. Shah, as an EB1A attorney, what's your take on this particular matrix and why the confusion at the first place from your perspective?
I think the confusion comes from clients wanting to do good, but not having all the information. Individuals are trying to achieve something. They're working hard. But sometimes if you don't have the right information or the full information, you may act improperly. And so what Ankit has provided and created is a good way for individuals to clearly think about the process. And for me as an immigration attorney, as an EB1A immigration attorney, I like to make sure that there's a smooth process. Everything goes smoothly if everybody knows their role and can focus on that. And so when the EB1A aspirant or applicant is looking to do something specific, for example, they've been working in the field for 10 years. They're a professional. They have worked on specific things, but they don't know they never worked in academia. They're a professional, so they don't know how to write. They need guidance. Okay, who's going to give that guidance? And as an attorney, time is limited. If someone really wanted to sit and go through that, it would take coaching. It would take a lot of time and effort on the attorney's part to do that. And that's not necessarily the attorney's position. Attorney is there to guide the legal process. He's going to tell you what is the legal standard, if this evidence is enough, what type of legal argument are we providing? Whereas the coach is going to come in and help guide you, encourage you, and provide you support. And then the consultants are there for both me as the attorney and the aspirant to go to when there needs to be some gaps filled. We need a third-party review of your profile. They need to go through everything and give us an opinion. We need someone who focuses on media to tell us, what training do I do? What do I do when I'm in front of a camera? How should I present myself on the internet? What website should I have? These are very important questions, and the best thing to do is put time in something that will give you the best return. You have the best return on your investment of time, money, when you're asking the right person. Go to your coach when you need encouragement, go to your attorney when you need legal guidance. And the RACI that Ankit has created really helps someone clearly think about this. And thank you again for developing this. These 8 things you have to go through. This is a great way to hold yourself accountable and know who to go to for information.
Mr. Shah, from all perspective, what I understand that no matter if somebody is an attorney, a consultant, or a coach, there is always a fiduciary responsibility towards the student or a client that be there. All of us are resonating with the fact. That's for absolutely sure. And one of the perspective which I have is that initially it was a very straight jacket, maybe 5 years before. I think typical profiles with PhDs, everybody was trying to do EB1A. And I think that was only between immigration attorney and the client who were a particular people of a particular specific profiles only were applying for EB1A. And now obviously USCIS has been very liberal and a lot of people are considering it and a lot of people are earning their EB1A achievement also. But in this whole ecosystem, how do you see, and this question is for Mr. Abadar also, how do you see a role of immigration attorneys evolving with this whole concept of EB1A coaching and consulting over a period now?
I think this is a response to the demand. There is a high demand to come to the United States and to immigrate to the United States. And so this is one of the best ways. This is the Einstein visa. It's a meritorious. I want to say it's an honor to have received. It gives you the green card, and it takes work and effort to get there. I think the glass ceiling is broken. It's been shattered. The idea that it's unattainable. It is attainable. You work hard, and it's something you can do. And so this ecosystem, I think, has been created because there is a demand, and people have realized that, oh, there is a pathway to do this. There's a method. The method is following the legal standard and making sure you achieve it. And I think this is a natural response to what's going on.
Absolutely. Mr. Avatar, what's your take on this?
Yes, I do want to add a point building on what Hamad just mentioned. I'll be frank with you, only recently, in the last couple of years, I have really come to find out about coaches in the EB1A space. In the past, I've always used consultants. The consultant role has always been part of my ecosystem for EB1A applicants, but only more recently, and especially learning more about the work that you're doing and the coaching that you're doing, have I really identified how that would be of tremendous value when the attorney is not only seeking consultants, but at the same time coaches that can work directly with the clients to strategically guide how they can strengthen and present their profile. From an attorney's standpoint, I would definitely say that the consultants and the coaches are bringing tremendous value to the table. They're an integral part of your team so that you can really bring all of the components together and bring all of the pieces of the puzzle together to be able to present a viable petition.
That's wonderful. And I'm going to come back to Mohammed and you, Abatar, on where does the problem lie and what are the consequences of unlawful practice. But before that, Shreya, let me come back to you. Now that you are a coach also for EB1A and helping the students from Next League, as well as you yourself have been a student of Next League and helped navigate your own journey. What key factors help you to secure EB1A approved and what are the challenges did you face and how did you overcome them? And do you see the same resonating with rest of the people with whom we are talking to?
Talking about my journey, when I started the EB1A journey, when I was trying to find out what it is, there was information available online, yes, but it was very difficult to sort of connect it to my profile. I knew that I'm doing this work. I just could not connect how do I relate it to any criteria more than that one specific critical role criteria. And I think that's where Next League program helped me a lot, try to identify how I can work around that one critical role criteria and what evidences would be needing. Because when projects are ongoing, you don't have anything outside. What exact evidence could help me showcase that and all of the factors and what more I need or how else to build around it. And I think that's most of the questions I do see students asking me who are very new into the program on what criteria to target. Many people feel that the articles they had written, say, 2 years back may not be right for their current job. A lot of information around which criteria they can use, which they cannot use, what is the evidence quality that is needed for the EB1A petition. Those were my questions, and those are the questions I see people having still. Yeah.
Rajna, as I would like you to respond to the same question, but also as being an EB1A achiever yourself from the Next League program, as well as a consultant who is helping media. I want to have your take on that.
Sure. Thank you. Two perspectives. Number one is when I joined Next League Academy, I was really not aware about how the EB1A works, what could be the way to go. And it was only the training that I received helped me navigate my path to EB1A. And this really needs extensive hard work at the student's end. So in Ankit's sheet where you see EB1A aspirants, their job being responsible for what you want to achieve, it's hard work, it's continuous thinking, it's you going up in your own game. You got to work on your own self. This was all that we learned from Next League during our training period of 6 months, depending on whoever is able to pull up however faster or quicker the person can be. And so that helped me. And then, of course, my introduction with Mr. Shire. And I think the way we interacted, or the reason why a student or an EB1A aspirant needs to undergo the coaching and the training before reaching the attorney's office is basically to even be ready to communicate with an attorney. An attorney is not going to help you understand what are the nitty-gritties and what are the sections you're going to follow, which criteria goes where, what is the quality of the evidence, which Shreya has also explained. So once you are ready with all of this, your communication with attorney is at the same wavelength, and there will be no misunderstandings, and you will be able to achieve a quicker turnaround. I think we might have had a couple of meetings and we were able to exactly understand, okay, this is what is lacking right now. Okay, this is the documentation. Okay, this is how we go ahead doing it. And we could just file the case faster than what we would have otherwise spent if I would not have got the coaching done. Essentially, this is all how I would see it. Ideally, right now, when I'm in touch with so many students, trying to explain to them, I see so much of gap in their understanding about media. Media is a fragmented world. Media needs a lot of attention. Media gives a lot of attention to students who are achieving it the right way. Hence, some of the misconceptions about media that people are regularly discussing with me. One of the things I understand is going to the right media, the right way, communicating the right story, and that gets your right perspective out. That is one very important factor that every EB1A aspirant needs to go. The second important thing is credible media. Third important thing is go for quality and not for quantity. These are the few things I would want to recommend everyone who's in this journey to focus on.
Wonderful. What I'm hearing from everybody right now here is that a coach's role is more holistic, more as a broader perspective. In fact, I always tell people that that's my favorite tagline, that you don't have to fit into your criteria. The criteria have to fit into your profile. That would be a coach's role. A consultant would, at a time of your presentation, would use that lens of a criteria to look at your profile. Criteria has become relevant, and attorney's job is to come forward and create a complete narrative, keeping in view the legal jurisprudence aspect of it. And I think that's the way we are highlighting. Ankit, something for you as an EB1. I know you were interacting with me as a coach, you were interacting with Mr. Shire, and you were interacting with a lot other consultants also who gave you some expert opinions, including Rachna. Whom did you consult for evidence standard? Whom did you take guidance for profile enhancement? How did you differentiate the role? What were the questions and whom did you approach and why?
Sure. From a relevance, the work I was doing, professional narrative, and the story, I was continuously in touch with my coach for the overall intertwining of every criterion into my profile. Many a time I used to have specific questions regarding specific criteria, which would need a lot more depth than the generic approach that I was taking in my petition. Like, for example, media criterion, for example. It has specific metrics that can be used to determine the depth or the quality of media for a person. Those are the things I was going to consultant for. An immigration attorney mostly to make sure that whatever I was doing was respectful of the legal boundaries, compliance boundaries with USCIS, and to keep them informed of whatever activity I was doing. I think from a lawyer's perspective, it was continuous information give and take from them to understand whatever I was doing was respecting the legal boundaries. And basically, that's how I had divided in my mind on whom to consult when.
Absolutely. Now, I would like to come back to Mohammed and about that. Mohammed, I think there is a very skirting the gap between all of them seems very blurred at times that they don't know who is what. Even probably coaches won't know that they are not legal advisors, and lawyers also sometimes are starting coaching. And then there are consultants here. Now, let's talk from a consequences perspective, which is much more serious. And that's why we are also having this discussion particularly. There are three stakeholders and two consequences here. One for the consultant, one for coaches, and then second comes is for the applicants itself here. What are the dangers of choosing wrong people for wrong things, Mohammed? I mean, what happens? Let's say there are a lot of consultants or coaches today who are prepared to give manufactured achievements. I will give you citations. I will do publication for you. What are the consequences of such situations that you would see at it? Mohammed, I will start with you.
Okay, what I want to first mention is that of the three stakeholders, attorneys are licensed by the bar of that state that they are from, and they have a fiduciary duty to follow the law. They can be disbarred if they knowingly submit fraudulent evidence. Not only will this petition put in jeopardy an attorney's license, if knowingly him or her allows for the filing of this fraudulent documents, but it also puts the petitioner at fault. If you are found to have done any fraud or misrepresentation to the United States, that's a removable offense. That creates inadmissibility. You don't want to be put in that position as a stakeholder. You want to be put in that position as an attorney. And I think the main responsibility lies with the attorney to ensure that everybody is following the law. The coach isn't giving legal advice, that the consultant isn't doing anything fraudulent or trying to encourage this applicant, the aspirant, to do anything fraudulent. The attorney is the one that, again, the law. That's what they're doing. They're trying to make sure you follow the law. I think that's just a simple way to think about it. And that's who you should always rely on when you want to know what is the proper way, what is the legal way, what is the ethical, moral way to do this. You consult an attorney.
Absolutely. What are the consequences?
The consequences of inadmissibility for the aspirant. It's a removable offense. And for the attorney, if they knowingly allow that to occur, they can be disbarred.
Okay. I mean, as an attorney, if some candidate comes to you and submits you an evidence, say, these are my patents, these are my citations, how would you check? Because attorney at times may not even know about it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, a client that lies to their attorney isn't a person worth working with. As soon as I find out someone's been deceptive to me about what they're providing me, that's definitely a reason to end representation. That should be done immediately.
Absolutely. That's a message and a red signal for everybody. Abata, from your perspective, what constitutes an unlawful practice of law and what is the consequence for coaches, consultants, and attorneys if they indulge into something like this?
Absolutely. To bring Hamid's point full circle in terms of the applicant, if they willfully commit fraud, then they will also face serious implications, and the implications elevate to the point of being deemed inadmissible and permanently barred from receiving or obtaining an immigrant and or non-immigrant visa. The implications and the consequences for someone that's applying for an EB1A visa or for any other type of visa, whether it's immigrant or non-immigrant, is very consequential. Now, similarly, with the coaches and consultants, if they engage in the unauthorized practice of law, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, regardless, then they will also face consequences. And those consequences can be criminal penalties, they can be significant fines, they can be injunctions and being barred from taking part and engaging in immigration-based coaching and consulting services. It can really have a wide range of consequences that can shut their business down, but at the same time, they can face serious criminal and civil penalties, which means that for all parties within the ecosystem, not only is it not worthwhile to operate in the muddy waters, but at the same time, you can be facing lifelong consequences, whether you're the applicant and that can implicate the future of you obtaining the desired immigrant or non-immigrant visa that you're applying for, or on the coaching and consulting side, being able to provide those services. You can also be permanently barred from engaging in such activity if you commit fraud.
Wonderful. I think it's because, in fact, two people reached out to me recently, and I must share this incident with you. That one gentleman, he had applied in 2023 for NIW, and it got approved. And then in 2024, he got his EB1A approved, and he was trying to port the date. Both the approvals were sought, and after a little while, his EB2 got rejected, and he received a NOI for that. And subsequently, his EB1A also got notice for intent of revocation. And it was essentially based on the premises that what he committed in NIW was totally contrary to what he committed in EB1A, and even the expertise were totally different. And it started from there, and then there were consequences because there were one or two papers which were ghost written or something like that. I think it all results from temptation. And Rachna, Shreya, and Ankit, I have a question for you, and answer this more as when you were aspirants. Of course, there are a lot of temptations. People do this because of shortcuts. We have 40 achievers. We have seen everybody goes through a lot of mental stress and strain when they're navigating to this journey. How not to succumb to these pressures and how not to do it. This is something for you because somewhere down the line, there is a feeling of entitlement that comes in and creeps in, and you feel this is the easy way out. And I have done so much. Actually, why should I work like this? I mean, the political system is bad, immigration system is bad, and I deserve this. And probably that is the reason. And I have no reason to believe that anybody who does this, otherwise they are not competent. I mean, it's a matter of only putting a little more effort. How did you, each one of you individually, did not succumb to any such pressures, but ready to work? And it took a lot of time and endurance to maintain that and develop that high emotional resilience. And this is for all three of you. Let's start with Ankit.
Thank you. I think when I started with EB1, I had decided that it's not only just for the profile, I should live up to that profile forever from now. Living up to that profile means that we are doing extraordinary work. As you were mentioning before, like, don't fit into something, let it fit into you. And doing extraordinary work means high quality papers, high quality memberships, good critical role, etc., whatever it manifests into. And high quality is not equal to mathematically and philosophically to any temptation that is a shortcut. For me, the biggest barrier to entry to take any of these shortcuts was I knew that this will look like a square peg in a round hole in my petition because of everything else being of good quality. So I did not want any evidences there that could raise red flags and that could overall decimate the quality of my petition. And that was my biggest trigger not to indulge into all these things. And also, from a resilience standpoint, that's where a coach's role also becomes impeccably important. I was always in touch with my coach to sort of express what I was feeling at the moment. There are moments of high confidence, low confidence, no confidence, etc. And the coach can always provide moral boosting in case of imposters. That's almost always there. That was my strategy to not succumb to any of these temptations.
Wonderful. Shreya, taking it forward, let us take the same question in a different way. There are moments where emotions and professionalism always conflict during this journey. How did you navigate through your process?
While I was in the program, I had my own ups and downs as well. But I think the people around helped. It helped having the conversation with you on where I am with my journey. And as you keep working on your profile, you write articles, sometimes some things take time, but then the efforts you put in, when they do bear the fruits, those little achievements really make you proud and helps you drive forward. And For me, it was a slow and steady race. It took me time. I had my ups and downs, and we did not have any timelines that you have to do it in a month or so. So work towards it, had our own sad moments and crying moments and dip moments and happy moments. And here we are talking about it.
Wonderful. And for you, Rachna, I know you're sitting in India. I think for someone sitting in India, you have been very disciplined and a strong advocate of following the rule of law. And we respect you for that. What was your ups and downs? How did you ensure your own compliance?
See, one of the most important things that all of us in the journey have realized, and the ones who are in the journey today must realize, it's once in a lifetime task that you are doing. With that goal in mind, it's not a repetitive task that you're going to be achieving EB1A every year. It's just once in lifetime. And that itself attaches the deepest value, the deepest conviction, the deepest commitment of the individual to make sure it is done right the first time. Let it get delayed by 3 months extra, or let it get delayed by another 5 months. But you got to do it correct, the right way, and do it once and for all. This understanding will translate every individual to not adapt to such shortcuts or take any malpractices and adapt to it, because it is going to show up anytime, anywhere in future, and it impacts not only you, your family, and thereafter. With this understanding, I think it's very simple and very clear that no questions about any not authentic work can even be thought about, even in the slightest of the agenda. Very simple. There's no doubt about it. You got to do it. You got to do it correctly, and you got to do it now or 3 months, or you got to work towards it to achieve it, because it's only for you and your future and your family's future. When I started my journey, I was very clear on these few things. If we do it correctly. If we don't do it, don't tamper with it, don't mess with it. It's okay. If you're not able to achieve it, fine. But do not adapt to any wrong practice to do it. And especially in a case like immigration, you want to be very clear about what is the foundation you're setting for your own life in a new country altogether. It's a self-principled rule that every person needs to imbibe. And according to me, somebody who's been in the journey for 10, 15 years, is a scholar, is a professional of high attributes, is a talented soul, will make sure that he or she is able to filter and navigate the right principles in the lawful manner, in the truthful manner, and navigate it throughout. I would almost communicate this to every EB1A aspirant in today's day and age.
Wonderful. Very well said, all of you. Mr. Shah, from your perspective, how is USCIS increasing scrutiny on this whole immigration in the current times? And what should the applicants take steps to avoid any untoward incident or RFEs or fraud acquisitions?
There's always investigations and crackdowns on any fraudulent documents, or there's a deep research on what's being provided. Whenever a petition is filed with the USCIS, officer goes through everything. There has been RFEs that I've seen where they're being called out for fraudulent documents, supporting citations. There are certain ways that these can be discovered. The people who think that they're cutting corners to get where they want, don't think you're going to get away with it. If you're belittling the people who have worked on this hard, like these 3 people before us, they worked hard on trying to achieve this EB1A petition and get approved. When you cut corners, not only does USCIS look at that and will find out, others will know about it, and they will inform the authorities about what's going on. Because for one, as an attorney, if I discover this, I have an obligation to inform the authorities about this. This is organized fraud. If there's students working with consultants, working with other students, working together to boost in a inorganic way, well, that can't be done. That has to stop. And so USCIS will try to stop it, and it will be found.
Wonderful. But let's take a flip here. Let's trust that everybody wants to do a good job. And there are coaches, there are consultants, and there are attorneys. Now, if somebody wants to do a good job and wants to have a right pathway, and we at Next League, we started off the coaching, we used to give proper disclaimers saying that we are not an attorneys, and Ranjeet Mudholkar, which is I as a founder, was what role I would play. And I always would insist that go to your own attorney for your legal advice. And we don't offer legal advices everywhere, the disclaimers. And recently, then we even took a leap forward and we even sought a legal license from Supreme Court of Arizona. And we were privileged to get that. And that's the path we took. And this is how we offer now an integrated services that we do. Now, for somebody who is starting off as a coach, become a consultant, what would be your advice to them that they ensure they operate within legal and ethical boundaries?
Absolutely. The short answer to that is, as they say, stay in your lane. You need to truly understand the role that you are assuming. And if you understand the role and you understand the parameters of that role and you stay within those boundaries, then definitely you're not going to be violating the rules that pertain to the unauthorized practice of law. If you are a coach, then what you're doing is you're strategically guiding and mentoring and teaching your clients so that they can strengthen and present their profile in a way that makes sense and follows the requirements of the EB1A. If you are a consultant, then you are attesting based on your expertise as with respect to the client's expertise in their particular space. You're not providing legal guidance. You're not providing legal advice. You're not drafting briefs. You're not going over the risks that are associated with applying. You're not projecting for them the probability of USCIS approving or rejecting their petition. You're staying away completely from the legal aspect of presenting the petition and the potential response to it. Again, if you stay in your lane and you embrace that role and you're very collaborative in your approach, working with the attorney and working with the other stakeholders as one team, then not only are you going to shine in that role and become a well-known household name like you have in the coaching business that clients will come to, but at the same time, I think you're going to be also doing great work and taking part and being someone that's contributing to the realization of many people's dreams of obtaining the EB1A so that they can come to the US, get a green card, and build a future for their families.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. That's very, very well laid out and very well structured. Mohammed, you have been part of this entire the ABS process that we underwent, and Arizona Supreme Court approved the ABS model for, and you are also part of the court proceedings here. And there are only 2 states in the US which are permitting such a model and structure. An establishment to go for this route, because there is a compliance mechanism. We need to submit an audited reports that we have seen where we have 97% success rates. This goes to Supreme Court also. What is the benefit for clients of adopting to this structure that you yourself firsthand witness and being part of for everybody to follow?
I think it's first good to know what this ABS structure is. Like, it's an alternative business structure in the state of Arizona. This allows for non-attorneys to have a stake in a law firm. There's a compliance attorney to ensure that there is no unlawful practice of the law, to ensure that the non-attorneys aren't doing legal work and the attorneys are just doing that. And the benefit that I see, and it's shown in this success, is that the coach sees the aspirants forest. They see the big picture. They know where the aspirant needs to get, right? And they're there to encourage the aspirant. Whereas I'm trying to sift through each piece of evidence. One of the things all 3 of you guys will know is that I have a special checklist. I have my EB1A general evidence checklist, and I give it to all my clients, and I'm like, okay, for us to get to that legal standard, you need to give me each piece of evidence here. I need impact evidence. I need major significance. I need details of how you proved, what was the criteria when you were judging, specific pieces of evidence that are needed to establish to USCIS you have reached that legal standard. Whereas Ranjeet coaches that you need to accomplish this. I know you can get into this membership. Just you need to believe in yourself. The idea of the coach is guiding you. It's like a great team. And having that support for any aspirant will lead to success.
Wonderful. And before we conclude, a message from all of you, I would like to start with Shreya. What's your message to every EB1A aspirant who would be listening to this, and how they should navigate through their journey, from where do they begin? Because there are typical questions that follow. Do you think I can get EB1A? Do I have a profile for EB1A? What would be your take on this? Because I know you asked the same question when you wanted to join.
My initial answer would have been that you might be getting that question a lot. So you might be a better person answering that. But since you asked, I think my message would be try to have that confidence in yourself. I think that's the first thing, because without that, the journey is very difficult. Have that confidence in your process and in yourself, and earn that EB1A approval. You have to work towards it, work hard, work towards quality, organic way. And I think that is the whole crux of it. Do that in a right way to earn that approval.
Wonderful. Ankit.
I think that if someone wants to get EB1 and they think that that's their ultimate goal, then it seems Herculean. But if they think that they want to be truly extraordinary in their field and they consider EB1 as one of the milestones, too many more in the future, then it becomes easier. And that's where a coach can help, that's where the attorney will help, and that's where the synergies of all these relationships that we were discussing will help. For me, the journey has begun. I now need to do more things than I used to do to truly maintain my status as an EB1A achiever. That's my message to anyone who wants to start, that when you start, think that in the next 5 to 10 years, you will be truly at the top of your field. And EB1 will be one of the flags that you'll be hoisting. That's my message.
Wonderful. And from your perspective, Rachna?
I think for every EB1A aspirant who's currently in the journey, he or she almost is professionally achieving what they are achieving. It could be a career in the field or business or workplace, but translating that into the terms of what the criterias are requiring you to achieve is the real EB1A journey. How do you translate each of your professional achievements to match with the criteria? And the criteria are so well defined that if you are a true leader in your industry, you will be able to match up with the criteria and the evidences will justify for it. I think that translation and that thinking process takes the person up in the own self journey. It's more of a self journey, and with the conviction that you go deeper and deeper into your own field of expertise. And it's almost like the T shape. First, you go very macro, and then you go very deep in the T. And that is the real depth that will get your petition. And the real depth reflects in the good petition, which sees the light of the day. I would say that's the message to everyone. Go very deep in your journey, and you will be able to achieve what we are here for.
You're wonderful. I think all of you have very beautifully put it across, and especially the fact that this is just a beginning. EB1A is the first ladder that whatever your dreams are, and you need to use this more as a stepping stone. And the stepping stone is a foundation. Foundation has to be on a very strong ethical and very strong moral compass, and legal compass have to be at the highest order. Before we conclude with Mohammed and Badar, let us have one interesting data for everybody here. This is the statistics of overflow of all the EB1A petitions that have been approved over the years. We are talking restricted to EB1A. This is 4966, then 5,000, 7,000, 8,000, 7,000, 4,000, 4,000, 5,000, 7,000. 2023 was 10,500, then 9,000. These are speculations. Where do you see trend going? And this is favorite question, and people love to ask this to us as an attorneys. And Mohammed, where do you feel EB1A is going? And this is how the space of the whole role of coaches, role of consultants, role of attorneys going forward in this whole EB1A jurisprudence.
For me, I have a hot take on this. The policy behind immigration is shifting, and that the government is trying to encourage merit-based immigrants. I think there is an intentional decision by the administration to get the best of the best in this country that has started with the previous administration. I think this is a trend that we'll continue to see, where there's a much higher focus on high-skilled merit-based immigration. Asylum and humanitarian-based and family-based immigration has taken up the majority of immigration since the Immigration Nationality Act of the 1990s. Put family-based and asylum as the focus, and I really see a shift happening.
That's wonderful. And Avatar, how do you see it? This is the saved best for the last.
I definitely agree with Muhammad's sentiment and the trend and the shift. And I would say that should be very good news for individuals that are extraordinary, that want to present what they have accomplished and where they're in terms of their professional growth and their professional accomplishments. And I think it comes down to assembling the right team, having the right attorney, having the right coach, and having the right consultant in place. If you have the right team and each person understands their role and they work collaboratively with one another, and you go through the process in a very diligent manner, then definitely the EB1A path is a very viable one, a very achievable one. And I think we have some amazing examples, panelists with us today that have hit that milestone, and they're just starting their journey and they're working towards higher and greater achievements. But definitely this is a path that people should consider. It's not easy, but it's a path that is outlined, that's clearly defined, and with the right team, it's very attainable.
Wonderful. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It was wonderful to have you. The theme that we have is resonating, that what we always call that become the best version of yourself, and let EB1A become a milestone in the most ethical, legal, and strengthen your moral character. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here.